Welcome, everybody, back to the Dialogue Dome. My name is Brendan. That's Max over there. And today we are
Hello.
talking about something that we have been thinking about for a while, and it's basically the algorithm,
hmm
the Twitch
The
algorithm, YouTube
the
algorithm.
almighty internet space.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And of course, we are aware that this is going on to YouTube podcasts, so
hmm
this is not going to be an episode dishing at YouTube or anything like that. It's going to be just
No.
discussing the general format of what the algorithm is, how it works, how it's changed, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. Oh, and by the way, I got a new
Yeah.
microphone.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah. Good
as you
shit.
can see, for those of you who are watching, yes, I have a new microphone. Um, so if it sounds weird in this episode, I'm gonna fix it, and we're gonna do a better job in the next one. But I've done a
Mhm.
bunch of tests with Max. I think it sounds really good. We've upgraded the quality quite a bit over here, so on my end. But
For sure.
I'm pointing for the podcast listeners. I'm pointing to the boom arm in view here. I need to figure that out. So, anyway, so
Anyway,
Max, this was your idea. So
this was my idea.
why don't you start us off here with this one? Because this is going to be a
Okay.
something to think about.
Yeah, this is a real thinky episode. I recently just saw a video from Shadiversity that was talking about his experience with the algorithm and how it's really been kind of working against him, especially in recent years. Um, Much of his content is educational and he's like a very safe kind of content, but he does talk about weapons and armor and all of this other stuff. And I think he's really starting to feel that something is happening either to his videos or for his videos that's kind of suppressing them in a way. And I really just kind of started thinking about what that meant, because this isn't the first time content creators have talked about the algorithm in this way.
Right, yeah.
Um, we've heard Jacksepticeye, PewDiePie, Markiplier, a ton of people in the gaming sphere. We've heard from Jazza, Shadiversity, Jaden Animations, animators, content creators about weapons and dialogues, and I mean, we've even heard from uh, like what I would consider normal, everyday people, just kind of doing stuff like what we're doing here,
Yeah.
talking about how hard it is to even break into this kind of space, and even if you have broken into it, how hard it is to maintain.
Yeah.
Um, so I really just kind of wanted to talk about kind of our goals, what we want to do for our channels, since I mean we're still relatively new. This is like the I don't even know what episode we're on right now, but we're still new at this. We're still
Yeah.
figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
Um yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because for those of you who are following us from before and for those of you who are new, we have been Twitch streamers in the past, both of us,
Mhm.
and I'm not completely done with Twitch. I did have a pretty good run on the channel with my stuff, but
Mhm.
the thing with my channel is that I got to a point where, and Max felt the same way, we got to a point where we just stopped gaining viewership,
Yep.
followers, our numbers were going down. And the problem with Twitch is that it caters, at least for me, I feel like it caters a lot toward partnered streamers, which of course
Mhm.
that makes sense because, they're making the money on the platform and they're the ones carrying the platform forward and
Right.
stuff like that. But that leaves the smaller communities, especially on um, that platform, that leaves the smaller communities literally in the dust trying to catch up. And
Right.
what's ironic is I actually did YouTube personally before I did Twitch, and I wasn't really experiencing any growth on YouTube on my first channel.
Mhm.
And I just kind of stopped doing it because it was just too much and too much time and too little reward. And then
Right.
we switched to Twitch on my end, and that showed me so much more success so much quicker. So that's why I kind of switched, and I was getting a little excited about it. But then that also stopped too. So now it's still in a place where I feel like if I did continue or just essentially, stream one day and just keep going with it, like it would go back to where it was again. But like I just got to a point where I got tired of it. It's
Right.
for me it was too much time, too little reward, too much preparation work for something that was barely getting any views, and it was just
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's discouraging. It's very discouraging. And I'm not saying that,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to, who knows what'll happen with this channel. I hope it does
I
successful,
certainly hope it
but
does
and
very well, for
yeah, I
sure.
mean so far we've seen some good numbers, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's just one of those things where it's like, do we want to, you know, if this takes off, that's going to be something to think about, because it's like, okay, now do we want to make this our full-time job? Like that's where there's always going to
Right.
be a part where a successful channel is going to go, okay, now do we keep this up? Do we just keep doing what we're doing, but do we focus on it more, less? What do we do? So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the algorithm is going to be what's going to determine whether or not this channel becomes successful, and that's unfortunate because it should be the views and the people and the community, So it's
Right.
kind of sad how it caters toward views and clicks, but
Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's also unfortunate when video recommendations don't even go out to subscribers. Like many of the people that are subscribed here, or even many of the people that were subscribed to Shadiversity, um, many of them just weren't getting notifications.
mhm.
Even if they had the bell on and all of these other whatevers that you have to follow for YouTube's personal fucking whatevers. I don't even know what the rules are anymore at this point. But we
Well, we're gonna go
follow
over that
all
today.
oh
Yeah, we're gonna
just
go over
but
that
we
because I have that up. Yeah. So anyway, keep going. Sorry.
no, you're good. But like we follow those rules and we do what YouTube wants us to do in order to be successful, and yet it's still not
Working.
working. It's
Hmm.
still not like what do you want from us as content creators? And I still feel like there's this I don't know, ever since YouTube and Twitch started accepting advertising revenue from whoever whenever, that's really kind of been the falling point. And I'm not even saying that they shouldn't have done it, because obviously money is what helps a company keep things going. It keeps the lights on, people are still
Hmm.
employed, it keeps servers on and all that other fun stuff. Like I get it. But like I don't know, it certainly doesn't feel like it used to way back in 2012. And it certainly doesn't feel like the content creators, the people that built this platform are being taken care of. Like we're
Literally. Yeah.
we're focusing on making sure advertisers are happy and that they get everything that they want, but there's no protections for content creators. There's no safeguards or understandings. There's no way to make sure that new content creators have an opportunity to grow and expand. And even older content creators who've been working on these channels for decades are just kind of left to their own devices. Like it's still the Wild West, and it really shouldn't be. Not at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a big, and this is always the case with every platform, but a big part of it comes with two things. One, luck. You have to be
Mm-hmm.
lucky. You have to have a you have to have a video that or a stream that just it hits the algorithm just in the perfect way that gets it thousands of views, and then
Right.
that makes it build up to more stuff. Like I'll share with you, like on TikTok, for instance, I did a clip of my stream that I did for a Genshin Impact stream,
Mhm.
which, by the way, I love Genshin Impact. It's like one of my favorite games ever. But um, it's just like one of those things where I curated it in just the perfect way to have it start and stop at the perfect time. It
Mhm.
was I titled it as the saddest moment in Genshin Impact ever, and I posted it, and it got 40,000 views in the course of like 4 months, and I have no
Mhm.
idea how that happened. I have no idea why it happened, and that's a problem because I can't recreate that again.
Right.
I can try, but I just will not succeed. There's no
Right.
way I could ever recreate that. But at the same time, like, going back to what we were talking about, like with like older content creators, I think those guys are, and girls, of course, are,
Sure.
they're the ones that get, they kind of got lucky with like time and a place. The
Right.
platform was looking for their kind of person right at that moment, and they scooped up that opportunity, and it
Right.
was great. Whether it be by accident or on purpose.
Right.
And I think the thing is, though, is that a lot of them, the ones that are older content creators, are talking today about like for instance, Jacksepticeye. I was watching a video that he just did recently about how he's going to probably retire from YouTube in like 2 years, which is
Right.
bananas to my brain because I grew up watching him.
Right.
um it's one of those things where he was like, oh, people say that you can just like kind of post whatever and like it will just take off and like get a billion views, and he said like that's not the case. I actually have to think about what I have to post because the algorithm will change the way that my channel is viewed. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, that's crazy. He has 30 million people watching him, and the
Right.
algorithm still affects him. I mean,
Mhm.
that's just so odd to me. And
Agree.
and I'm sure that there's a reasoning behind it that I don't understand, but
Mhm.
it's like I can't wrap my brain around that. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It soon becomes like I get that YouTube is technically a private company, so they can do whatever they want as far as regulations and rules go. And I also understand why they don't want to give out the rules to the algorithm so that like people who shouldn't have a platform are able to get as many views. Like I understand business wise why they're doing a lot of the stuff that they're doing. But when content creators like Jack are still struggling in this day and age with as successful as they are, that tells me that there's something wrong. There's something there that probably needs to be looked at and fixed, or even at the very minimum talked about
Mhm.
anyway. Um, I I don't know. I certainly don't want to give any impression that we're trying to attack YouTube or Twitch
Oh,
or
absolutely
anybody
not.
on
I
on
mean,
these situations. Like their rules are their rules and they can do whatever the heck they want with those rules. I mostly wanted to clarify that these are a concern that we have,
yeah,
that these are
mhm.
that we want to address them and also to just kind of talk about it and let at least our audience know where we stand on this topic.
Yeah, this is less about criticism and more about just opening the book for a conversation, really. That's really
Mhm.
all it is. And at the same time, I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that, I mean, the algorithm is constantly changing and there's no
Mhm.
handbook. I think that's really where it is. It's just that, you have to kind of really keep track of what's changing very
Yeah.
closely, or else you won't be able to adapt to what is changing.
Mhm.
And on top of that, what really irks me is that, again, there is no set rules. There's no definitive manual on what the algorithm is and what it does. anywhere. And
Mhm.
basically we have like like just random articles we can look up that are basically people guessing and stating
Right.
it in a list format, but they don't really know either. No one really knows except for the people who
Right.
made the algorithm, and they don't want to share
They're
how
just
it
not gonna
works.
talk about
So
it.
I think that's really what it comes down to. The frustration is not necessarily a criticism of the system or the people who made the system. It's a criticism of the fact that they keep the rules so close that it's so hard to understand what's really changing. And
Mhm.
that's where, at least for me, that's where my frustrations come, because I don't want it to come easily to everybody, because then everybody would get tons and tons of views and nobody
Exactly.
would be popular, and the platform would just be a mess. But
Right.
at the same time, I just wish that there was just some form of understanding that
Mhm.
could be given to I don't know, like new channels, old channels,
Right.
anyone really. I don't know.
Right.
There's the problem is there's no real solution to this.
Mhm. I'd even go one step further and say that, I wouldn't mind having an open dialogue with YouTube corporate or Twitch or whoever, Google, fucking all the people that own whatever. Um, Having an open dialogue and making this more more open source than it has been, because that's what originally this whole platform was. It was just an open source video sharing website that you post a video and people liked it, or they didn't like it, or they didn't watch it, or they did
And
watch it and they
and
shared it with all of their friends or not, or whatever. Like, that was what it was. You you shared a video, it was open source, this huge community thing grew from that, and then now it's this big kind of unfeeling business
yeah.
trying its best to get as much ad revenue as possible. And
Mhm.
I don't know. I think it's lost what it wanted to be.
Mm. To an extent, yeah, for sure. I mean, I still
Mhm.
think the original vision's definitely there. I think
Yeah.
that it's just that, yeah, the other thing to think about, and I can give YouTube corporate a little bit of a hand here with this, because
Sure.
I do agree with them that, like, or I do agree with them. They didn't say anything to me. I do
Sure.
agree that if they give out the algorithm to people, I mean, quite literally, I mean, yes, you can buy expensive equipment, but pretty much anybody can become a content creator these days.
Right.
I mean, literally, Max and I are doing this in our own home right now. And, like, yes, we have some
Right.
fancy equipment, some fancy cameras, but, like,
Mhm.
the reality is that, like, I could get on my laptop, and if, Max lived near me, I could, go down the street and we could just record something really quick on, like, a really, really shitty laptop speaker. And that's
Mhm.
considered content creation these days. So, like, you have to unfortunately up the game with quality these days, or else you won't get seen. But even then, I've seen some really bad quality stuff get very, very, very popular very quickly. So I
For
don't think it
sure.
has anything to do with quality anymore. I think it just has to do with luck, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. I really do. I don't think there's
Mhm.
anything particularly. I mean, unless the algorithm, and again, it's always changing. Like, do you want to talk a little
Mhm.
bit about the history of how this has
Oh,
changed? Because I have the
for sure.
timeline up here, and we were gonna
Yeah.
originally talk about that too. But, like, I just feel like, here's an example. Like, let's talk about how it's changed over the years, because it's really
Sure.
changed quite a lot in the past. I would say 20 years, which is
Oh,
weird
for
to think
sure.
that it's been 20 years. But
No, I know,
anyway.
right? No, it's absolutely crazy. I okay, I guess to start with that is, like, when do you remember starting watching YouTube? Do you remember when you started watching YouTube?
um, Not really. I gotta say, I think it was probably in, I want to say 2010, 2009. It was when they started normalizing posting music videos on YouTube, because I was really,
Yeah,
really going for a music career back in the day. Um,
sure.
and I just wanted to, um, because the only place before that was you had to go to MTV. That was the
Right.
only place that you could watch music videos, or you had to rent a cassette of, like, a bunch, and there were a bunch of
Mhm.
artists that you'd never cared about, a VHS tape. God, that's so weird to think about these days. But
Right.
it's like it's genuinely that was, I think, when I first started watching stuff, was when I was like, oh my God, I can watch music. I can watch Michael
Mhm.
Jackson on YouTube. What? I can watch Whitney Houston on you. I can watch her Super Bowl performance on YouTube. Like I remember like being
Right?
like so excited about that, and that was
For
like kind of a
sure.
big deal. So I remember, I think that was when I started publishing music videos, is when I remember starting to really get into this.
Mhm. I definitely started, like, really, really getting into watching YouTube kind of around 2012. Um, I started watching a bunch of, old school Markiplier stuff, and, like, that's where the draw was, that's
Yep.
where I came in, and then I was just kind of hooked on it from there, watching, a bunch of gamer content creators, and then I found some artist channels that I started watching and all this other, like, that's where I was. And kind of, uh, I guess around that time was definitely when, like, I don't even know what had changed or even what was going on before the 2012 kind of era of YouTube, but it really did feel like something had shifted when I got on. And I'm not saying that I'm the point that it started, but whatever happened,
Yes, Max. The
game right,
YouTube saw you coming and decided to
revolves
say,
around me.
"Fuck Max." Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because 2012
Mhm.
is when the first algorithm change was made. So you aren't crazy, because it
Oh,
might have
good.
it might have been. Well, you're crazy, but not
Okay.
insane. Well, you're insane, but you're not. I'm not gonna go down this rabbit hole. You're not crazy about that. So 2000, so in 2005 to 2011. So 2005,
Mhm.
it was YouTube was originally created for Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake's Super Bowl performance. It
Hmm.
was originally designed to host that, and
Was that it?
just that.
I
Yep,
thought, like, early history YouTube was a dating site.
it was
Like,
not.
real early
No,
history YouTube was
it
dating.
might have been, I'm talking current YouTube.
Oh, okay,
Is
like,
its fa-
current stuff.
Yeah, like its founding
YouTube
was,
as we know
yeah,
it. Okay.
yes, exactly, yeah. Um, so it started off the algorithm with optimizing for clicks and views. That's how it all
Mhm.
started. And of course, what did that do? That led to clickbait titles for views,
Sure. Right.
which is where the whole idea of clickbait started. So clickbait
Mhm.
started with this algorithm. It's so ironic. It's still used today. I mean,
Oh,
like,
for sure.
it's stupid to see. The worst is, it's not even on YouTube anymore. It's mostly on really awfully written journalist articles of
Mhm.
anything, like, even whether it's news, whether it's clickbait needs to be sunset. I'm sorry, it does. Just put the
Mhm.
correct title in the headline. Like, why not? People will click
Right.
on it whether they're interested or not, okay?
Mhm.
um but 2012 is where the algorithm changed for the first time, and it optimized it less for clicks and views and more for watch time.
Mhm.
And that's where the first wave of anger started with content creation, because that was when, people, that's where the whole idea of, like, oh, I can't get on YouTube anymore because it doesn't cater towards smaller communities, because it was completely based on watch time. And
Sure.
if you're a smaller community that doesn't have as much watch time, it's just not worth it. I mean, at the time, it
Right.
wasn't worth it unless you went somewhere, got like super famous, had your 5 minutes of fame, and then you came back to YouTube, and then you suddenly had 1 billion followers. I mean, it was just
Right.
like, that was kind of how you did it. That's why so many YouTubers went to conventions and, like,
Sure.
shows and, like, all this stuff, because they were trying to
Right.
network for watch time, you know?
Right. Then also to that point and extent, the gaming community, like, exploded during that time because it was so much easier to make videos for that purpose, for those watch times.
Exactly.
It was like you sit down, you record a video 15 minutes, half hour, and upload that. You didn't have to go anywhere. You barely spent any money doing anything, and you got it. You got the click, you got the view, you got the watch time, and then boom, you were pushed by the algorithm for that.
Exactly. And what's interesting is this actually led to YouTube's algorithm forcing content creators to make short videos. Because the shorter the video, the more likely to click on it, the higher the watch time.
Right.
Right?
Because longer video, yeah, no, that makes sense. Because there was the longer videos. If somebody clicked on and then watched part way and then left, that was actually more detrimental to the video than just, oh, I clicked on for like a minute to 5 minutes and then watched the whole thing and then left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Mm. And then after that, in 2015, it changed again into 2016, and it only stayed for a year because the algorithm was so bad. It began measuring viewer satisfaction directly with user surveys.
Oh.
And that's it. There was no. They stopped catering toward views. They stopped catering towards clicks. It was just likes and dislikes. And that is why that is what has led to the dislikes being hidden from videos today, was because people were spamming dislikes to troll people. And of course, leave it to the internet to just troll people all the time, right? Yeah. I mean, come on.
For sure.
It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And then in 2016, 2016 is less about the algorithm itself, but the algorithm change for the dislikes led to a basically a ton of content moderation issues. So like because the platform had exploded at the time, it led to a huge mismarketing, mistreatment, people being dicks to each other. I mean, it just led to a bunch of different things. So 2016 to the present has led to basically brand safety, content safety, and demonetization risk now. So, I mean, there's just a lot of things that have been put into place on the YouTube pages to ensure that trolling doesn't happen. And then today is where it's weird. All of those now work together in today's algorithm. So basically now you have a chance to hit one of those three algorithms. But basically what this thing is saying here is it's mostly like it focuses right now on, do people watch it? How long do people watch it? Did viewers like it? And then what's the region? The region plays a huge role now because it's now an international website. So region plays a big deal. And funny enough, when you look at your metrics in YouTube, you can actually see where your views are coming from, like what country.
Sure.
And so, it also, the YouTube determines the algorithm based right now. And this is a guess again. There's no manual. Relevance, engagement, quality, and search/watch history. So those are the four big things. Yeah. Does any of that make sense to you?
I mean, no. I mean, yes, no. I can understand a lot of. I can understand a lot of the words that they might be saying on the page, but what does that actually mean for us? I can
I'm going to make this video based on engagement.
Right? Exactly. Like, what does that even mean? What are you even talking about? Like, it's
only
so
knows.
Confusing, right? It's so confusing that we can't make videos that we want to make and then have those videos actually do well. It's so frustrating that I have to spend a good chunk of my day trying to anticipate what people want to watch, and then whether or not that will actually get views from the algorithm. Like, that's so frustrating, and it almost makes me feel like Google is trying to control what people watch, trying to control what the content that they're consuming.
Again, we're borderline, insulting Google here, which is what we're not trying to do. But it's like you are correct. I feel like Google is trying to filter out what gets through and what doesn't, but at the same time, it's all AI, so like it's also not Google at the same time. Like a lot of it, you have to remember, has to do with AI in general. And again, we're not.
That's very true.
I don't want to. I don't want to get this channel banned on this episode for this reason.
No, of course
so
not. Like,
we're not gonna attack YouTube at all. It's just again opinions. Yeah.
We're being very opinionated.
Yes. And again, at the end of the day, we're two idiots on the internet talking about idiotic stuff. So like, it's a big thing. I mean, but you, in the sense, you are correct as well. As like, I don't want to have to buy a YouTube algorithm for dummies book and read through that just so I can understand what will inevitably be changed in 5 years.
Exactly.
6 years.
Like,
and then that book will be irrelevant.
Exactly. At what point does that book just become irrelevant? Like, who knows how many of those have already been written?
I know.
That
probably
are
it's probably version 16 right now. Let's be honest, or something. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I mean, I have podcasting for dummies, and it's version 4 right now. So I mean, I did buy that, and I have yet to read it. So maybe we'll see if I'm successful in podcasting by the time I read it.
Yep.
But yeah, anyway, so that kind of leads us to the conversation. Oh, I forgot also about YouTube Shorts. That's a whole new thing that we have to just address that really quick. Now, suddenly, YouTube is trying to be TikTok, which is really weird. But like at the same time, it's kind of convenient because if you do make TikTok videos, you can just post the same exact video on YouTube Shorts and which, by the way, is probably what we're going to end up doing.
Oh,
so
for sure.
If TikTok doesn't get banned in the U.S. officially.
Right. But then we'll have YouTube Shorts.
Yep. Time to bring Vine back, everybody.
Right? Oh, my God.
Those were the days. God, I remember. That was what TikTok was before.
Short form content. People like that. I don't necessarily understand why, but I don't know. I've found myself getting lost in the YouTube Shorts scrolling. It's too easy to get lost into that. I don't know.
I'm on TikTok right now mostly as a viewer. I don't really create. For some reason, my brain has a very difficult time making Vine-like content. It's just very difficult for me, and I'm not sure why it is. But, I'm the kind of person that is like, all right, let's hit the record button and let's record something, and then I'll edit it later. I'm not going into something saying, okay, I'm going to put this here, I'm going to put this here. That's just not who I am. I'm kind of a very go-with-the-flow person. So it's very difficult for me to get involved in TikTok for that reason,
Sure. But that's also a great segue into discussing kind of what we want for this channel and what we plan on doing.
Speaking of putting things in place.
Yeah.
No, like I'm saying like that was the segue, So
exactly, the wonderful segue that we got for you.
See what we did there.
See what we did? It was great. So I agree. I think this channel should be, well, I mean, any of the channels that we make should be just whatever pops into our mind from the day to day. It's so hard to try and compete with all of these people that have so much creativity and power and excellence, and I'm not saying that we won't make those types of content, but it's not going to be like a day-to-day thing for us.
We're not going to go into each video thinking, oh, is this something that viewers will watch, or is this something that viewers will not watch? It's mostly just going to be like, we think this is cool. Let's try it. If people don't watch it, maybe we'll switch. But like, that's also going to be, determination for you guys listening and watching at home. You know what I mean? So it's going to be that kind of a channel. So.
Right. That's really going to be the extent of it. Like, we will base a lot of our decisions kind of on what viewers will tell us in the comments, or you send us emails, or whatever. However you get in contact with us, you'll let us know, hey, maybe you should talk about some of this stuff. This is a topic that I'm interested in hearing your opinion on. It's like, cool, maybe we make a video about it, maybe we don't. We're not, at least for me, I can't necessarily speak for you, Brendan, but at least for me,
yes, you can. You're doing it right now. I'm just kidding.
Am I? I don't want to bow down to a like computerized thought experiment.
All hail the AI. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not a thing.
It's not in my nature, and I certainly don't want to try and censor myself in that kind of regard. I'm going to be stupid. I'm going to say things that I think are funny, and I would much rather have the community tell me whether or not I'm doing a good job than to try and fight with a computer on whether or not I'm doing a good job.
Because the computer won't know.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, who knows? Who knows where this channel will be 15 years from now, 10 years from now, 5 months from now? Like, who knows what's going to happen?
Let's try 5 weeks first.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
But, like, I just want to make stuff that I enjoy talking about, that I enjoy playing, that I enjoy making. And if views come, then they come. If they don't, then they don't. You know? Feel the dreams. If you build it, they will come.
Yes. I mean,
I don't know.
I'm the kind of person that believes that if you focus on something for long enough, eventually you'll get good at it.
Yeah.
So, like, if this channel is going to take a turn for the worst, people are going to let us know and we're going to fix it. So, like, you know what I mean? Right. It's just like one of those things where I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine.
I think we should.
We're already playing Bloodborne right now, and we're doing a pretty good job of that. And Max is just, his signature line is now, "What is that?" And that's just becoming. We're trying to turn that into a channel meme right now at this point. So that's like our first channel meme. But I don't know. We'll see where this channel goes. We'll see where this podcast goes. We'll see if the algorithm gives us any favors. If it doesn't give us any favors. And that's to say, not to mention the fact that we also have to compete with the algorithms on every other podcast platform too, which is going to also be a really big
that's going to
thing
be
to discover and adapt to, and so we're fighting.
That's going to be super rough.
We tell robots all day we're not robots. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I don't necessarily like it. It's a little too Terminator for me, that I have to tell Skynet that I'm not interested in being subjugated by them. But like,
it's bad.
I don't know. It's not great. It's not a wonderful feeling. And okay. How about this one as well? I'm going to right now, Mr. Joe Rogan, on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, whatever the hell your fucking thing is called. I don't know what it is. I'm not here to compete with you. You're the #1 podcaster on Spotify or whatever the fuck. Fine, have it. That's yours. I don't give a shit. If I'm popular, if we're popular, if any of this is popular at any point, fine. Maybe we hit the #2 spot, but you could. I don't care. I don't care.
We're doing this for us, not for numbers, but we are doing it for numbers at the same time. we have
it's
to
a very
think about
weird
it. Yeah.
quantum state of,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And speaking of, since we are talking about the podcast and the algorithm and stuff like that, I
Sure.
will mention as well that we are going to bring in the future special guests too. So like we're gonna talk a lot with some of our friends. I'm gonna bring some people over, and
Yeah.
we're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work.
Yeah. Maybe we bring in some experts when we're talking about stuff that we absolutely have no idea what the fuck we're talking about.
Really.
Who knows? Maybe we'll get Joe Rogan on this one.
Oh God.
He'll give us advice
Well,
about
that'll
how
give us
to,
views.
yeah, right?
And listens.
Well, welcome to the Dialogue Dome featuring Joe Rogan.
Yes, our number 1 clicked on episode.
Yep. God. Anyway,
I think that's where I think we've sidetracked enough to kind of determine that we're done talking about the YouTube algorithm. Is there any last comments you want to make?
I don't know.
Jesus, that was loud.
I know. I'm sorry. I mean, that's really it. I guess I mostly just want to make sure that people out there understand that we're going to stick around, even if, like, we have one person out there. Craig, I know you're out there listening to us. I know you're the only one that's been listening to us for the past, like, few weeks now, and I truly love and respect you and support you out there, Craig. You're doing a great job holding down the fort, and we're going to continue making videos for you, Craig. It's going to be great.
It's going
to be wonderful.
Yeah. The point is that, we've done this before, both of us. We didn't give up then. Eventually, we got fed up with what we were doing, and now we've changed our tactics. So we never really gave up. We just changed what we were doing, really. Exactly. And I think the both of us agreed that it was just easier to just start over again, because like it was just one of those things where it was like, okay, I've curated a great community on Twitch, and I do plan on going back to that community again someday. It's just now is not the right time, and I have too much going on in my life. My mental health is not in a great place to be able to stream for 6 hours straight. Like that's just that's the other thing too, is Twitch is so difficult because you have to spend so much time on the platform to even be seen, really.
Right.
So, but
we needed something easier, something
we could do in our
manageable.
own time. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, is that I'm personally excited about where this goes. I think it's gonna be great.
Think so.
I think it's gonna be fun.
It's going to be great.
And regardless of what happens, we're gonna have some stories to tell. Our friendship has already gotten stronger, and on top of that, I'll write a podcasting book. So it's great.
It's all for you, Craig.
Alrighty, well, thank you all very much for Craig, very much for listening, and thank you very much to everybody out there who has listened to our podcast, watched our video walkthroughs. This again is the Dialogue Dome. We will see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much.